I can remember one flight, we were doing a test flight on this Norseman, and we were over Lake Winnipeg. And I said to the pilot, I says, I think we got a problem. He says, why is that? And I says, I'm just looking at our oil pressure gauge, and it's starting to fluctuate. And he says, and? I says, I just don't like it. I says, turn around and start heading for home. So he says, okay. So as we turned around and started heading for home, because you don't want to land on a float plane in the middle of Lake Winnipeg,
Okay.
period. We started heading for home and getting to a river, right? And it wasn't very long that we started seeing streaks of oil start to hit the windscreen. So now we know we got a leak somewhere.
Yeah.
So we made it to Winnipeg, and we got over the Assiniboine River, sat down, and we taxied around. And of course, our oil pressure was still dropping. It was down to maybe 35 pounds. But anyway, we got in and pulled the cowlings off to check on it. And somebody had put the hose connections onto the engine and onto the oil tank, but forgot to tighten up the hose connector on the oil tank side. And under pressure and due course vibration, it started to blow by, and that was the leak. So took that off and cleaned the pipe off and put it back on and tightened up the clamps and refilled the oil tank and checked it out, and everything was okay.
Yeah. Did you ever have any close calls?
On another occasion with the PBY flying in, we had a nose wheel. We had the problem with this was in the wintertime. The nose wheel wouldn't come down. And the pilot's remark was that if I got to set this thing down on two wheels, you'd better make sure you get out of that pylon. Why is that? He says, well, during my experiences in crash landings, we always lost the upper half of the engineer. And I says, oh, how was that? He says, well, on impact, he says, the wing, because it was a monoplane,
Yeah.
He says, the wing, it just went off and took the pylon with it, because you had the pylon between the wing and the fuselage, and it always took the engineer the top half off, because you sat in the pylon like this, and this is where you're exposed to the window on that side.
Yeah.
So he says, if we don't get that nose wheel down, he says, when I say set the controls, you get the hell out of there. So anyway, we came in, and one of the other fellows that was on board, he says, he says, I'm going to go up to that nose wheel and see if I can't crank that thing down. Now, you did have an auxiliary crank. If the hydraulic system failed, you could crank that nose wheel down. And this chap went up there and tried it for maybe the umpteenth time, and luckily it broke, and we were able to crank it down. So we came in on all three wheels. Now, we wanted to determine what was the cause of that. We left the aircraft outside. We got jacks out and jacked the aircraft up and raised the undercarriage. Everything worked okay. Then we started looking at it. We seen beads of water on the rams, and that was from the aircraft sitting in a hangar for many days, then going out and flying and getting in extreme cold weather. Then that froze became ice.
Yeah.
So that would prevent the system from working properly, and that's what it was. So from then on, anytime we were going to fly the PBY in the wintertime, we always put it outside on the ground level, and that sit there for maybe an hour before we took it into the air. There was no more problems. But that was a scary deal, whether we were going to have to sit down on two wheels instead of three.
Yeah.
Other than that, I guess that's the only two real situations I gave thought to at times. But anytime I get on even the commercial airliner today, I sit and I listen to those engines power up, and I say, I hope that pilot hasn't forgot something. Yeah, but that's just a natural thing when everything starts happening, or you're starting to listen. Okay, the undercarriage is up, it's locking into place, or it's dropped down. It's working. You know that's happening.
Yeah.
And to a passenger who's never been in this field, it's just a sound to them. They don't know what's happening.
Yeah, that's right.